Tanya Plibersek's standing up pretty much about now and announcing what the government's doing with their environmental law reforms. They're going to put legislation in the next few weeks for the EPA and sort of put a lot of the rest of it on the back burner. Is it reasonable to split them up in this way? Would you like to see the rest of the plans, even though they're not being introduced? And how will you go about deciding how to vote on this?
Well, look, I think it's obvious that the secrecy that's shrouded this process is of great concern. It's of concern to stakeholders, and if it's so great and it's such a good bill, why be so secretive about it? It's an anti-WA bill because it will act against the interests of WA. It's anti-mining, it's anti-development, and we already know that it takes about 16 years to get a mine approved, which is just beyond ridiculous. The processes need to be condensed, not expanded out. And this essentially, as it's been explained to me, this nature positive bill will be the death of mining. And no wonder people in WA are absolutely aghast at what Tanya Plibersek's proposing. And I mean, Tanya Plibersek might be after a legacy bill, and she might be after a bill that wins her votes in inner city Sydney and Melbourne against the Greens. But the people of WA shouldn't have to pay this big a price because it's WA revenue that's at risk. It's jobs in WA at risk. And Tanya Plibersek is obsessed with fighting off the Greens in her seat of Sydney and in Anthony Albanese's seat of Grainler. But the people of Western Australia shouldn't have to pay the price for that political outcome for people on the East Coast in inner city seats.
Who explained that to you? Who have you been talking to?
Oh, I think I'll reserve that, and obviously a number of people have engaged, and there are many people here in WA who are deeply concerned about what it is they've learnt in relation to this process. And let's see what Tanya Plibersek has. Is she being honest? The non-disclosure agreements that we're seeing people sign at the moment is obviously a Mark Dreyfus special, because in the other area of religious discrimination, which is under negotiation at the moment, you've got imams, you've got bishops, archbishops, you've got priests and others, rabbis, who have had to sign non-disclosure agreements in relation to that issue, as they have in relation to this one. It's quite remarkable. If it's a secret process, well, why? I mean, is it commercially sensitive to be talking about religious discrimination? I wouldn't have thought so. Is it market sensitive? No evidence of that. Is there a national security risk here? Well, of course there's not. This is a government trying to divide and conquer. And the secret, tricky processes that Tanya Plibersek has operated here, there's a reason for that, because the bill is not in the best interests of our country. We live in a precarious economic period. When you look at what's happening in the United States and look at what's happening in Europe, interest rates are likely not to fall this year, unfortunately, for many families and small businesses. And people at the moment can't take another blow to the economy. This government's already introduced 1970s-style industrial relations changes, which will make it much harder for businesses to succeed. We know that in manufacturing, there's a threefold increase in the number of manufacturers who have closed their doors over the course of the last 2 years under this government. And another blow to the economy, particularly here in WA, which is the economic powerhouse of our country. I don't know why the government would be going down that path.
Still the inquiry into supermarkets, the Woolworths CEO has been threatened with sanctions during the Senate inquiry for repeatedly failing to answer questions about profits. What did you make of it?
Well, look, I haven't seen the footage, but from what has been explained to me, you've got the Greens grandstanding again and trying to hijack a process which is actually about trying to find answers to questions that people are legitimately asking about why they're paying more and more at the checkout when they go into the supermarkets. I think one of the reasons is that the government's renewables-only energy policy has driven up the cost of energy, not just for households, but for every supplier, including farmers. To run their cold rooms now is costing double under this government. To fuel their tractors is costing more. We know that diesel is over $2 a litre. We know that people who are manufacturing the packaging products, the glass products, etc., all of that is being driven up because of the energy cost increases, and all of that is ultimately passed on through higher prices when you pay for your groceries at the checkout. So there are many legitimate questions to ask, but if this is just a political media stunt by the Greens, then that's not going to be of any help to families whatsoever.